Imagine walking into a small, picturesque town in Catalonia, surrounded by the rolling hills of Girona, where the smell of fresh clay is hanging heavy in the air. You'd expect a quiet, local tournament, right? Well, think again. Something absolutely massive is brewing in the world of women's tennis, and if you aren't paying attention to the WTA 125 schedule right now, you are missing one of the most fascinating storylines of the season. Welcome back to Tennis Desk, where today we are diving deep into a tournament entry list that has sent shockwaves through the tour. We're talking about the Solgironès Open Catalonia in Bisbal, and let me tell you, this isn't your average lower-tier event. When you see names like Alex Eala, Leylah Fernandez, and Barbora Krejcikova all appearing on the same bracket for a 125-level event, you know the stakes for the upcoming claycourt swing have been raised to a whole new level. Now, why is everyone talking about a 125 event in a small Spanish municipality? It's all about the timing and the sheer desperation for rhythm on the red dirt. As we approach the end of April and the beginning of May, the road to Roland Garros becomes a frantic sprint. This year, the Bisbal tournament, running from April 27 to May 3, has managed to attract a field that looks more like a WTA 500 or even a 1000 level draw. We are looking at 7 top 50 players currently listed to compete. Just let that sink in for a moment. In a tier of professional tennis usually reserved for rising stars and players fighting to break into the main circuit, we have Grand Slam champions and former world number 3s ready to slide around in the dirt. The headline act for many fans, especially those following the rapid rise of Asian tennis, is undoubtedly Alex Eala. At just 19 years old, Eala has become a beacon of hope for Philippine tennis, and her trajectory is something we've been tracking closely here at Tennis Desk. Currently sitting at a career-high world number 45, she isn't just a prospect anymore, she is a legitimate threat on any surface. But clay? Clay is a different beast. For a player like Eala, these weeks in Spain are crucial. She's scheduled for a grueling run including Linz, Madrid, and the Italian Open. Adding Bisbal to that mix shows a player who is hungry for matches. She's facing a similar dilemma to what we've seen with players like Emma Raducanu, trying to balance the massive expectations of a nation with the physical grind of the Pro Tour. Seeing her name alongside veterans suggests she's ready to stop being the young star and start being the player to beat. But Eala isn't going to have an easy walk to the trophy. Not by a long shot. Standing in her way is the 2021 US Open finalist, Leylah Fernandez. Leylah is currently ranked 24th in the world, and her inclusion in a 125 event really highlights how much she values match play right now. We know Leylah thrives on energy and atmosphere, and while the 1000-level events in Madrid and Rome are the big prizes, she knows that a deep run in Catalonia could give her the tactical confidence she needs to make a splash in Paris. It's a strategic move. If you lose early in Madrid, which is a very real possibility given the depth of that draw, you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines for 10 days. You want to get to Bisbal, get your socks stained red, and keep that competitive fire burning. Then, there's the Barbora Krejcikova factor. The former French Open champion is currently ranked 52nd, which, let's be honest, feels like a typo when you consider her talent. For a player of her caliber, a tournament like this is about reclaiming her territory. Krejcikova knows how to win on clay better than almost anyone in this field. Her presence alone elevates the entire event. When a 2-time Grand Slam winner shows up at a 125, every other player in the locker room stands a little taller and plays a little harder. It's the ultimate litmus test for the younger players. Can Alex Eala or Jessica Buza's Monero handle the variety and the tennis IQ that Krejcikova brings to the court? Let's look at the Queen of Bisbal, Wang Xinyu. Currently ranked 34th, Wang has a special relationship with this tournament. She's a 2-time champion here, winning in 2019 and 2022 back when it was an ITF event. There's something about these courts that suits her game perfectly. It's rare to see a player return to a tournament so consistently as they rise up the rankings, but Wang clearly feels at home in Girona. Along with Enli, Katerina Siniakova, and Peyton Stearns, the mid-tier of this draw is absolutely stacked. Siniakova, in particular, is a fascinating entry. We know her as one of the greatest doubles players of all time, but her singles game has been incredibly sharp lately. Ranked 42nd, she's exactly the kind of gritty, experienced competitor that makes a 125-level tournament feel like a war of attrition. Of course, there is a massive if hanging over this entire entry list. We have to talk about the Madrid Open. Because the Madrid Open, a WTA 1000 event, runs concurrently from April 21st to May 3rd, the organizers and Bisbal are essentially playing a high-stakes game of musical chairs. If Leylah Fernandez or Alex Eala go on a massive run in the Spanish capital, they won't be showing up in Girona. They'll be busy fighting for one of the biggest titles in the sport. This creates a very unique dynamic for the fans. The Bisbal entry list acts as a safety net. It's the plan B for the world's elite. If you suffer a heartbreaking first-round exit in Madrid, you don't go home and cry about it, you drive a few hours north and get back to work. It's this second chance narrative that makes the WTA 125 series so compelling during the clay season. What does this mean for the fans? It means if you are in Catalonia that week, you might get to see top 30 talent on a much more intimate court than you'd ever find at the Caja Magica. It's tennis in its purest form, high stakes, top-tier talent, but without the overwhelming glitz and glamour of the 1000s. For players like McCartney Kessler, Beatriz Haddad Maia, and Ajla Tomljanovic, who are also on the list, every point in Bisbal is a step toward a seeded spot at Roland Garros or simply a way to find their footing after injury or a slump. Haddad Maia, in particular, is someone who needs the clay to start working for her. Ranked 70th now after some tough results, she is a player who belongs in the top 20, and Bisbal could be the spark that reignites her season. The schedule leading into Paris is absolutely relentless. After Bisbal and Madrid, the tour moves to the Italian Open in Rome, another 1000-level gauntlet. Then we have Strasbourg and Morocco before the main event at Roland Garros starts on May 25th. When you look at Alex Eala's calendar, it's clear she is taking the Iron Woman approach. Linz, Madrid, Bisbal, Rome, she is playing everything. It's a risky strategy, but at 19, your recovery time is your greatest weapon. She is betting on herself, banking on the idea that more matches equal more wisdom. But let's pivot back to the storytelling here. Why does this matter to you, the viewer? It matters because the next gen of women's tennis is no longer waiting for their turn. They are invading every level of the tour. When you see a field this strong at a 125, it tells you that the depth in the WTA is deeper than it has been in decades. There are no easy tournaments anymore. You can't just show up to a smaller event and expect to cruise to the trophy. If Alex Eala wants to win in Bisbal, she might have to go through a US Open finalist and a French Open champion. That is an incredible reality for the sport. As we look ahead to the end of April, all eyes will be on the scores coming out of Spain. Will we see the established stars like Fernandez and Krejcikova assert their dominance, or will the specialist, Wang Xinyu, claim a third title in her favorite Spanish haunt? And more importantly, can Alex Eala overcome the physical and mental hurdles to claim what would be a massive statement title on clay? This tournament is more than just a footnote on the calendar, it's a preview of the drama we can expect in Paris. The clay season is all about endurance, slide technique, and mental fortitude. In Bisbal, we're going to see who has been doing their homework. The Solgironès Open is setting the stage for a spectacular month of tennis. So, what do you think? Is playing a 125-level event the right move for players like Leylah Fernandez and Alex Eala, or are they risking burnout before the French Open even begins? Does having a Grand Slam champion like Krejcikova in the draw make it unfair for the lower-ranked players, or is it exactly what the tour needs to stay competitive? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Who are you rooting for in this stacked field? Let's get a conversation going. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the upcoming clay court chaos, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Tennis Desk for all your WTA and ATP updates. We'll be following every slide, every drop shot, and every upset on the road to Roland Garros. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.